UFC 303 is happening this weekend, June 29th, headlined by Alex Pereira versus Yuri Procházka, to co-main by Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopes as the co-main. Originally, these fights were supposed to be the return of Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, but unfortunately, Conor McGregor pulled out due to a broken pinky toe. It was supposed to be Carlos Erberg versus Jamal Hill, but unfortunately Jamal Hill pulled out due to a injured knee, and then Carlos Erberg pulled out as well. So we lost two fights, but the replacements of Alex Pereira versus Yuri Procházka, two great fight. Starting this card off with the early prelims of Ricky Simón versus Vacanes Oliveira. I've been doing some research for this fight, and I have to say this is a solid starter for the early prelims. Oliveira, if y'all haven't seen him on Dana White Contender Series, he's a KO specialist, has KO power, good counters. He has good kicks. He likes to step around. He's not like a plotster. I'd say he's a step above that, but he doesn't bounce around. He keeps his hands low. He keeps them like around his pecs, or sometimes he takes them a little lower to almost his right above his nip, right above his not nip hip or his navel. Good head movement. He does like to drop his hands and slide away and dip in and out of punches. He does slip on the inside, slip on the outside. I do like it. He's had some actually great early fights in his career. He's had some great fights on, I think it was UAA Cage Warriors. He's had some actual great regional fights against some great fighters. His fight against Ali Talibib 1 year ago, fucking great. He was knocking him up and down the canvas for like 4 out of 5 rounds. Last round just gets caught with a brutal counter and gets put to sleep. But he had a very great knee in his last outing against Soba, whatever. He had a great flying knee, put him out cold, badly. Oliveira, I think this is a big step up from Talibub and Brandon Sopa. Ricky Simón, I think this guy really is just he's just outside the top 15. In his last two fights against Song Yadong and Mario Batusta, I think Ricky Simón, being the strong, aggressive wrestler that he is, and being able to hang in there for 5 rounds with Song Yadong, one of the most dangerous strikers at what is this, bantamweight? Yeah, I think that's going to play greatly into Ricky Simon's favor. I don't think that Oliveira has fought a wrestler to the same caliber that Ricky Simon is. A wrestler who's going to constantly be trying to get you in submissions, constantly trying to advance position, constantly trying to bring you down. And we've seen this guy has 5 round cardio. If Ricky Simon puts it on early in this fight, I don't think Oliveira is going to be able to get off his dangerous striking game. And I think Ricky Simon's going to be able to finish, not finish him, but bring him to the decision. That's my prediction for this fight. Moving up in the card, Ray Samura versus Carlos Hernandez. Carlos Hernandez versus Ray Saimura. Ray Saimura, if you've seen him, he was a winner of Road to the UFC versus Carlos Hernandez. He's been in the UFC for a little bit, had a couple fights in the UFC. Um, I think Ray Samura is going to be able to get this one done. Most people on Tapology are also picking it for Sora, but make no mistake, Carlos Hernandez does have a chance. First off, Ray Samura's great grappling. We haven't seen him too much on the feet. He normally likes to take it to the ground. That's where he does his best work at. He's a working machine. This guy's always working to do something. I fucking love that. He's either trying to advance position on you or trying to move you in a certain way where he can continue trying to put you in a sub, try to get ground and pound. I always love that. He's never the type of guy to just put you on the ground and just wait for you to make a move. He's always trying to advance, trying to do something. He's a working machine. He never stops. If he can't put you in a sub, he will just ground and pound you out. And we've seen in his last couple fights, his ground and pound is lethal. Do not mess around with this guy. But on the flip end, Carlos Hernandez, this guy's also primarily a grappler. He's been in the UFC for a little while now. He's had 4 or 5 fights in the UFC. He's shown that he's not some can. This guy he's fought good people. He fought Tatsuya Terra. His last fight was Tatsuya Terra. Of course, Tatsuya Terra minced this fucker up, knocked him out in the second round. But you know he is a good grappler. He has decent striking potential. His fight before Tetsuya Terra was Dinesh Bandar. He KO'd him with a technical slam. This guy, he can hang in there. He can get in these grappling sequences and make it close. But I think one of the big deciding factors in this fight is the fact that Carlos Hernandez is fucking small. This guy's small. He's really fucking small for 125 pounds. He looks smaller than all these other guys. It says he's listed at 5'8", but I do not fucking believe that at all. Because he was next to Tsuruya, he looks small. Next to the guy before Bindar, he looked small as well. I think Ray Sonora is going to go in there looking like the bigger, stronger man with the more improving game. He's younger. He's constantly working. I feel like he's going to be able to get this one done by technical submission. Round three technical submission. I think Ray Sonora can get it done. Moving on the card, Martin Fat Fuck Buday versus Andrei Arlovski. Now this one kind of makes me sad. We have an old crafty vet, former UFC champion, Andrei Arlovski, crafty vet, as the Lucas Krejcis would call him. You know, to put it bluntly, he's 45. Um, let's just say it how it is. Bart Buday, he's a fat fuck, unskilled heavyweight. He's the type of people I hate to see in this fucking sport. You know, the only reason I'm really picking Buday instead of Arlovski is Buday's younger. He's only 32, which is relatively young in the heavyweight division. He's coming off of a better his out of his last five, he's won four, lost one. He's looked okay. He looked better than the other fat heavy. Let me rephrase that. He looked better than the other fat fucks at heavyweight. Like he was able to beat up a fat fuck in Jake Collier, who's supposed to be a welterweight. He's supposed to be a welterweight. Beat up Georges Parisian, just the bottom of the barrel. But you see, Andrei Arlovski, he's 45. He's coming off of a bad loss streak, and as much as I do like Andrei Arlovski, he's been doing this shit since 1999. He's just not in his prime anymore. He's so far outside of his prime. It's getting sad. Like for real, at 45, you're really just doing damage to your body staying in this game for as long as he is. And that's not to say that if Andrei Arlovski was in his prime, he wouldn't smoke Martin Buday, because he fucking would. Andrei Arlovski in his prime would run through all of these fat fucking heavyweights and probably some of the top 15, to be honest with you. But it's been a long time. You know, I'm going Martin Buday by decision, via not being a fucking living fossil like Andrei Arlovski. But you hate to see it happening. Andrei Arlovski been in the UFC for a very long time, had a lot of fights. He's on a good contract. I hope he's able to go off with a bang. I'll be rooting for him, but I think this is the end of Arden Arlovski in the UFC. I hope he hangs it up after this fight. I don't like seeing guys take that unneeded damage. Moving on, Michelle Waters Gomez versus Jillian Roberta. I don't give a fuck about these fights. They always go to the decision. I'm going with the younger fight of Jillian Robertson by decision. Moving on, Payton Talbott versus Yan Ghemmouri. I'm just gonna say it how it is. This is a gimme fight for Payton Talbott. Yan is this guy. Yeah, like I get it. He came on a short notice. He did a UFC a favor coming in on short notice against William Gomez, but he's just not UFC level. Me personally, that's what I think. I think he's still a regional guy. He has potential. He's not 30 yet, even though I think these lower weight classes, these guys age out quicker. When you get older, the first thing that goes is your speed, and a lot of these lower weight classes rely on speed. So once that starts going, it's a tumble. I think Peyton Talbot, he's one of the best and brightest prospects we've seen in the UFC so far, especially his weight division of 135. I think that Yanis is going to be no chance for Talbot. I think Talbot really smokes him. If Talbot is able to take out a guy like Cameron Simon, I don't think Yanis is going to be much of a problem. I see Peyton Talbot like rocking this guy or somehow tripping him out or taking a takedown and just getting him against the fence and knocking him out or knocking him out standing. It's really wherever Peyton Talbot wants this fight to go. It doesn't change anything. Gene Silver versus Charles Jourdain. This is the first real 50-50 of the card. Everything up until this point has been mainly favorites for good reasons. Favorites are favorites for a fucking reason. But this one is the fight that you really have to think about. Okay, who do you believe in? Charles Jourdain. He's had a brutal streak as so far. He showed weak. George Jourdain, he showed weakness against dangerous strikers like Sean Woodson, Nathaniel Wood, and Shane Burgos. No shame in losing Shane Burgos or Nathaniel Wood, but we've seen him in there with great strikers, and every time he loses. While Gene Silva, he was just coming off. He right before his previous fight, he was going to fight William Gomez, dangerous striker, dangerous technical striker. but that fight didn't happen. I think him coming off of his recent win streak, as well as being in camp for dangerous strikers, I think it's going to allow him to fight Charles Jourdain in an effective way. If you know Gene Silva, he has weird power. Like he has power when he needs it. I'll put it that way. I think Gene Silva's going to be able to get this done. I think he's just going to edge him out at range, have the stronger, better selected, powerful shots. That's just going to slowly break Charles Jourdain. I don't think that Gene Silva will get a finish. I don't think he's going to be able to find Charles Jourdain's chin, but you never fully know. I really do hope Gene Silva gets it done, man. He's exciting. He's an exciting fighter. Even when he stinks it up, sometimes he's still good. Moving on, Cub Swanson versus Andre Fili. Andre Fili, I know a lot of people don't believe in him. This is a bit of a swing pick. Back when I was looking at it, it was like a 50-40, no, 60-40. Now it's 65-35. A lot of people are going Andre Fili, even though that Fili has he's chinny. He has had a iffy, you know, last five, been dropped a lot in his last fights, been knocked out 3 times. It's it's always difficult to pick these older guys at these lower weight classes. Like Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson's a killer. We've seen that in him. He stays in the fight, but he's past his prime, man. He's really past his prime. He's at 40 compared to 34. I just feel like Andre Fili's gonna be the smarter. I feel like Andre Fili's he's gonna try to brawl because he's dumb, but I believe that his speed's gonna allow him to get in and out of these situations where Cub Swanson can KO him. I don't think he was gonna be able to. I think Andre Fili's feeling the pressure. He's 1-2 in his last three. He's 2-3 in his last five. Andre Fili. I feel like he's feeling the pressure. He knows that if he fucks this one up, is his head on the chopping block. I feel like he's gonna go out there and just edge him out, be the faster, younger fighter. I see Andre Fili getting it done by decision. Joe Body Bags Pyfer versus Marcos Andre Barriault. I like Joe Pyfer. I was originally on the Joe Pyfer train. I like how he's a big 6'2", like he's big, muscular, long reach, just dense body frame. Like that's the type of new age middleweight I think it's gonna be coming up. And Marcos Andre Barriault, he's been in the UFC, been fighting for a long time. He's 34. These higher weight classes, I think guys age out a little slower because the main components of their game, their speed and durability and their power, those are some of the last traits to go when you get old. So I think these extra guys, they have a little more time than these lower weight guys. I still do believe in Joe Pyfer. I know he got brutally fraud checked by Jack Hermanson. Jack Hermanson just beating Jack Hermanson. Bread and butter is just fraud checking people who don't know how to fight who don't know how to fight a fighter who's working off his back foot. Seriously. First that was happening, and then Jack Hermanson put it in second, third gear and started pushing Joe Pyfer, and Joe Pyfer just didn't know how to handle it. Jack Hermanson is the fraud. He's the fraud checking machine, but I still believe in Joe Pyfer. I still believe that his power and his KO, not his KO. I feel like his power and his shots are still some of the elite. I feel like if he just like cleans up his game a little, get more a little, take things slower, not try to always find the KO. Don't. This isn't a how fast can I KO this person. This is how can I beat him. If you can get the KO, that's great along the way, but do not chase it. I feel like his first loss is going to put him in perspective and calm him down. And I feel like Joe Pyfer is going to go into this one a little slower. And that's just all he needs because the power is there. He just needs to land his fucking shots. If you're rushing it, the other person's going to know and they're going to get you out of here. Jack Madison, he's really to show us how good you are related to everybody else in the division. If you can't get past him right now, you need to rethink your game and go again. And I think Joe Pyfer's done that. And I think he's going to win against Andre Barriault. You know, I have him winning via second round TKO. I can very well see this fight going the distance, but I believe in the stronger, more promising, powerful, younger striker in Joe Pyfer. But you never know about Salty Man Pyfer. He can always fucking lose on you. Ooh, here's one of my least confident picks. I'm having a gut feeling about Ian Machado Garry. I know people don't like the cuck himself, boss baby lookalike. Ian Machado Garry, fucking loser, vegetarian, a little bit of a weirdo. Tastes like posting him and Marlon Vera in the showers together after a fight. A little fucking weird. Really fucking weird guy, but for what he is, he's a very technical striker. I know he had a bit of a stinker with Jeff Neal. He kind of played it safe with Jeff Neal, struck on the outside, moved when he had to, didn't put too much power in his shots. But I think he's going to be able to make Michael Page. I Michael Page, he's older. He's a good fighter, has the reach advantage. They're the same height, but he has a 3 inch reach advantage. No, 5 inch reach advantage. Goddamn. Michael Page, I think you got to realize this. He's a karate fighter. Karate fighters always do their best work when they're countering. It's you see this a lot. You see it in Stephen Boy Thompson. You see it in Conor McGregor. You see it in Michael Page. Karate fighters do their best work counterpunching. And I think Ian Machado Garry knows this, and I think he's gonna slow down the fight to like barely double digit fight numbers. And I think that's going to work in Ian Machado Gary's favor. I think he's going to slow it down and make it a tit for tat fight. And I think Ian Machado Gary is going to be able to put in the more powerful, better selected shots than Michael Page. I don't think he's going to give Michael Page a whole lot to bite on. I don't think Ian Machado Gary is going to be going in there, getting off balance, leaving himself open to counters. I don't think that's going to be happening. This is going to be a slow tit for tat fight, and I think that's I most of the time that would work in Michael Page's favor, but I think Ian Machado is going to do it well. I really can see this happening. I know there's a lot of reasons to root against Ian Machado Gary, but at the end of the day, at least Ian Gary's not at least Ian Gary's father isn't a nonce, so that you guys that going for him. Maribel Silva versus Macy Session. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm going Biono Silva via decision. All these fights go to decision. That's been happening recently in the UFC. Not even just women fights now. Mainly men fights go to decision now too. So I always go decision fight. Always go to a decision with these women fighters. Always, even when they're good. The only there's probably five good female fighters in every division. Some divisions there's even fucking less. But moving on, Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze. I don't understand how the odds have it like so close for Roman Dolidze. First off, Roman Dolidze is not 6'2". He's 6 foot at maximum. His head is just at the like the cushion pad of the UFC ring, the octagon, right? He is 6 foot. That is 6 foot. That's the 6 foot line. It goes that ring. It goes up to 6 feet. So his head's at just at 6 foot. He's 6 foot. He's not 6'2". He's been lying. Second off, Roman Dolidze is not a prospect. He's an old fuck. He's already 35 at 185. He's going up on short notice. He was in the middle of his camp for another fight, but they pulled him out for this fight. He's going up on short notice to fight Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith coming off of a fraud check win against Vitor Pereira. I think Anthony Smith's going to be able to just I think Anthony Smith has a better overall game than fucking Roman Dolidze. Roman Dolidze has very little power. He's not a good striker. He throws shit willy nilly, not very great. The only thing he's good at is his freak strength. He has freak strength and good stamina. He's able to just keep that going. But I think with a guy like Roman Dolidze, not Roman Dolidze, Anthony Smith, a genuine 6'4" guy who is not like Anthony Smith. He's not the strongest and more powerful, but we've seen him fraud check people who are more powerful and more athletic than him. He's made a career out of doing it. Like Vitor Petrino, strong, powerful guy. Fraud checked his ass. Basic submission, hit him with a guillotine. He dropped his head into it. Like he's used to fraud checking these guys. Ryan Spann, tall, muscular, athletic, throws bombs, strong. Fraud checked his ass. Arguably should have been a majority decision, but whatever. I just don't think like who has more avenues to winning. Anthony Smith, who can submit you, who can bring you to a decision, and can KO if you fuck up, can KO you if you're being sloppy, or Roman Dolidze, which is this guy's only talent is holding you up against the fence and maybe getting a takedown. No, I think Anthony Smith can make it. If Anthony Smith can hang in there with John Jones, I think he should be able to hang in there with Roman Dolidze. I have Smith going via decision. Ryan Loti Ortega versus our boy Diego Lopes. I know a lot of fucking people on MMA YouTube, bedtime, Rigo, who are picking Brian Ortega. And I understand why. Diego Lopes, he is hyped for this fight. He's very hyped up. People have been high on him since the Mozart Evloev fight, but for good reason. First off, this guy's fucking big. He's big, you know. This guy's a big 145er. Big. Like, you see it against Yusuf. He's big. Like head and shoulders above him. Not head and shoulders above him. He was slightly taller, but his head and his shoulders and his muscles, you can just see them. They're more well defined and bigger. He's just a straight up bigger man out there. Second off, this guy's a killer, man. For real. He has he has KO power as well as having great jujitsu. We like I know he's been chinned on the regional scene before, and he lost a close decision to Marzar Evloev, but really you got to think this is less about Diego Lopes and more about Brian Ortega. What is Brian Ortega good at? Jiu-jitsu. He's genuinely a great black belt jiu-jitsu player, right? Great. He can really work that fucking jiu-jitsu if you let him. If you bring it to the ground where he has the advantage or where he can get a sprawl and maybe transition and take your back or at least get in full mount, he will do damage to you. But I think an athletic, strong guy like Diego Lopes, a dangerous guy on the feet. Remember this. During the first Yair Rodriguez fight, Brian Ortega was already getting lit up. Yair Rodriguez, weak Yair Rodriguez. That guy has no physical strength. Second fight, Yair Rodriguez is lighting Brian Ortega up. They got in the clinch, boom, bring him down. He reverses it, get the triangle, checks him out. I don't think that's going to happen with Diego Lopes. I think Diego Lopes is going to be able to physically bully Brian Ortega. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, who cares about Diego Lopez's power?" Brian Ortega was in there with Volkanovski and Max Holloway. He's never been put out like that. And people are gonna be like, "Well, Brian Ortega also has power. He knocked out Frankie Edgar, an old Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar, while he was on his way out of the division, before he went on like a 4-fight losing skid. Like this fight is really to me is who has the better avenues in this fight? Who can get it done? Diego Lopes can bring this to a decision. He can knock people out. He has submission ability. He made Joseph. He made what's his name? Sadiq Yusuf crumble. I don't think not Diego, Brian Ortega makes Sadiq Yusuf crumble. I don't think Brian Ortega brings Mozar Evloev to a close decision. I fucking don't. For real. Yeah, I don't think that. I don't like. What's his recent wins? He has a win over Washed Korean Zombie and a win over Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez, who I swear to God, this guy can defend a takedown, but this motherfucker, if you get him in a dominant position, he has no ability to fight out of it. It's fucking weird. I think Yair does have good jiu-jitsu, but still, I'm gonna make a whole separate video titled Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopes shouldn't be close. I'm really gonna do that because the glaze I'm hearing from Ringo is out of this fucking world. If he wins, I'm never gonna hear the fucking end of it, dude. Moving on. The main event, Alex Pereira versus Yuri Procházka 2. Of course, this fight was supposed to be Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor. Didn't happen. McGregor pulled out. Didn't tell us for like 3 fucking days. And so we had to get a short notice replacement of Alex Pereira versus Yuri Procházka. I really do think this is the closest Yuri is going to be able to get to beating Alex Pereira. The circumstances we find ourselves in is Alex Pereira, he's in Australia, training with Taito Ivasa, going on a bit of a seminar tour, like fan meet and greet. Probably not watching his diet that closely, probably having fun, probably not having hard training rounds or being too in depth about getting back in the gym after a win over Salty Man fucking Hill. Um, well, Yuri, on the other hand, comes off of a strong win against Rakic. Don't get me wrong. I am a little worried about the Rakic win because that was 2 months ago. And Rakic was lighting this fucker's legs up. That scares me because, like, it's not too hard to get a stress fracture or just a hairline fracture from that. And Yuri, knowing fucking Yuri, this man trains like an animal. I bet 2 weeks after that fight, or 2 weeks after the Alexander Rakic fight, he was probably already back in the gym. And I don't like that. I really want him to heal after this, but I think this is really going to help Yuri. I think Alex Pereira being on Australia on a press tour, having a broken toe, it's only going to play into Yuri's advantage. We've seen Yuri go in there with powerful, strong guys and make it competitive. I also think that Yuri coming back from a shoulder injury and fighting immediately Alex Pereira was fucking crazy. You're coming off of a terrible shoulder injury that you had to have surgery for. Coming back from after a year of not fighting, and your first fight is Alex fucking Pereira. And then he brings it to him for like what 2-3 rounds before getting caught. And even when the fight's done, it was kind of an early stoppage. You can see Yuri Procházka get him up immediately after the ref pulls Alex Pereira away. Immediately. I don't think he was fully out. I don't think you can put Yuri fully out. The only person who's Yuri fully out ever has been like King Mo. I don't think that's gonna happen to Yuri, man. That being said, I just can't trust Yuri's style against Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira is a trained fucking kickboxer, man. He's been in there with some of the best light heavyweights. He's been in there with guys like Power. He's been in there with guys who are lightning fast, and he's won against them. You know, I think Alex Pereira is just technically too good for Yuri to beat. Of course, Yuri has that. Yuri's my favorite. Yuri has a bunch of chance, man. He's powerful. He's athletic. Like he's explosive. If you let him explode, he can get you. That's what happened to Alex Alexander Rakic. That it is. He got him, man. Right? He fucking got him. He was able to just get punch him over. I think it was with an overhand right or like a right hook, and boom, sent Alexander Rakic on states and put him out, man. Like I just think the years of training and fighting and kickboxing, I think that just puts Alex Pereira on a natural level where like he can go like a month without training and still be sharp and crisp. I think even though the circumstances for this fight are pretty bad for Alex Pereira, I think they're in favor for Yuri Procházka. I do believe that Alex Pereira is going to be able to get it done. I think he can find the KO. I think Yuri Procházka's style is just too dangerous. You can't be fighting somebody who has knockout power like Alex Pereira with your hands down. I just don't think it's possible. I do think the previous experience fighting one another will come into hand. I do think Alex Pereira is going to be shooting. Not Alex Pereira. I think Yuri Procházka is going to be shooting for a takedown earlier in the fight, and not going to wait until he gets hurt, clinching and shooting for a takedown. I don't think he's going to wait earlier. I also believe that Alex Pereira is going to be able to strike a little earlier and more precisely because he knows Yuri's head movement and the way he moves now. He knows those weird like shovel uppercuts he does with that long 80-inch reach. I really do believe that. It's a close fight. I think it should be closer on odds. I think they're being. I think Yuri's kind of being disrespected on odds. Remember, Yuri can put a motherfucker out. Be careful. He made Reyes get like a bone reconstructive surgery. This guy can crack. It's just he's loose. He's not technically sound, man. I think a technical sound fighter like Alex Pereira with power will put Yuri out. If a human can put Yuri out. I just think Alex Pereira can get it done, man. And it's sad because I like Yuri Procházka. I think he beats a lot of the top five. Fuck it, I'm gonna say I think he smokes Jamal Hill. I say that now. I hope that's the fight that happens after this one. Assuming that Yuri doesn't win, then they have a trilogy fight, which would be hard. That would be pretty cool. But still, I think that's all for the video. I will be coming out with a video titled Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopes. Should it be close? I'll have that out soon enough.